What's up, everyone? Thursday night football. The Showdown breakdown. It's Thursday. Later time than usual, but we're here. What's up, Bobbywow?
Hey, it's kind of gearing up for this fun game. A lot of different options here, decisions to be made. And, podcast on Thursday means it's game day. So
yep.
It's going to be a good one.
It's go time. There we go. Falcons at home taking on the Bucs. In this one, Bucs are actually underdog. The Falcons are 2.5-point home favorites in this one. A little surprising. A little surprising for me. Not gonna lie. Yeah, a little surprising on the favoritism there. But let's get into this one, break it all down, and see what we have going on here. So let's jump in here and get the matchups tool on board. And we before this started out, Bobby, we were talking about there's some mysteries, some questions.
Yeah, there are some questions.
Yeah, especially at the running back position for Tampa. But let's get into the Atlanta side first, right? So I guess Bijan had a Q tag. It was there. It's gone. It was back. What's going on with Bijan? Healthy?
Bijan, he came out of the game last week, so you'll see a little bit of a kind of a more even split between him and Algier than we have seen overall this season. He came out of the game, maybe felt a little tweak in his hamstring, went into the week questionable, but practiced fully yesterday. No injury designation heading into the game. He says he feels great. He's full go. So I think Bijan's healthy. I think, we can be confident that he's good to go this week. As confident as we can be.
Yeah. I would say, though, that it has been a disappointing start of the season for Bijan, who was, by some people, considered the top running back or one of the top few, has not come together. Algier still getting the run, still getting plenty of run.
Still getting run. He's not getting many snaps compared to last year, but he's, when he's in there, he's getting touches.
Yeah. We'll have to see where he's priced for the slate and see, what we want to do with that. But Bijan a little sketchy with Algier coming in as much as he has been. Kyle Pitts, snap percentage, 67% last week, 70, almost 80% on the season. The targets have not been there, 12% on the year, only 8% last week. Man, Pitts kind of sucks now.
It's been tough. Yeah, I think I'm officially off the Pitts train until further notice. He's just been so bad for so long. We'll dive deeper into it. I got it on my notes. But separation issues, just not getting targets because of that, and it's just been rough production wise. So yeah, he's been bad.
Yeah, I just think he's not that good. It's weird because you'd think a tight end who can move a little bit would be fine, but still give him his chances, but doesn't seem that good. Now, Bobbywow, check this out. I love this. Anytime you see this on a team, this is a good sign. So the top three wide receivers for Atlanta, London, Mooney, and Ray, all in the 98% snap count range.
Yep.
We don't have to worry about who is going to be on the field for these guys.
Very simple, straightforward. Exactly.
Yeah, they're not shuffling anybody. It's just these three. And targets have been fairly level across the three of them this season, with London just slightly spiking to 26%. Mooney and Ray sitting at around 20% target share each.
Yep.
Now, Mooney does run a deeper route tree compared to Ray. Ray's kind of operating in the short part of the field. Mooney is the deep ball guy, so his targets are worth more. And then Drake London is the stud, is the alpha.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward here. We're kind of seeing the trend as the Falcons settle into their new offense. They've got a new coach. Obviously Kirk Cousins ramping back up from his Achilles injury. He's slowly getting more comfortable. I think we're going to see a little bit more along the lines of what we saw last week, where London is, the main target. But again, like you said, Mooney's averaging like 15 yards a catch. He's the deeper vertical guy. Ray McLeod coming over on the shorter routes. He's going to be involved. So kind of simple and sweet here with the wide receivers.
What I like about this team is we probably don't really need to give much mind at all to any sort of turds outside of like Algier being a turd.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Algier is really the only guy that I'm looking at outside of the starters.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, it's a little more complex on the Tampa side, so we'll give it an extra second as we go through this one. But the first kind of issue that's happening right now between Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, I think part of it is Bucky Irving just looks better when he's running the football. So last week, the snap count kind of leveled out 60-40 White to Irving. The rush percentage, so the number of carries, equal, and the number of targets equal. So these two guys are sort of leveling into the same guy.
Yeah, it's not an easy decision. The interesting thing about Irving is he wasn't brought in to be like, the featured back. He brought in more as a pass catching running back, maybe a change of pace. Rachaad White's been sick too over the last week. I think that's played into it. But yeah, you're right. Bucky's been far more efficient as a running back. Although last week they had the exact same line, 10 rushes, 49 yards. The only difference is Bucky got the touchdown. So that's going to be something. That's going to be a big decision that we talk through later in the pod.
That is the mystery of this slate right here, because really it's like Bijan or Algier, fine, whatever. We kind of know what those two guys do, but Bucky and Rachaad White, is Bucky overtaking him, or was that a blip? He got the Q tag removed last week for White.
I think White's still, for now, the guy. I think 60-40 split seems about right. And Rachaad White has been far more involved in the as a wide receiver than Bucky has. 16 targets to Bucky's 6 this season. So I do think Rashaad's the play. They're both very similarly priced. Rachaad, to me, is still the guy that I'll be more heavily exposed to of the two, but you got to pay attention to Bucky. I mean, he's getting touches too.
Does Atlanta have anything going on in the secondary in terms of like a good cornerback? Both
teams are middling defensively. I think both teams are a little bit worse against the run than they are the pass. But nothing like crazy noteworthy that we have to be concerned about.
There's no brand name
from my
cornerbacks on either team hiding in there.
There's no shutdown. I'm not concerned anyone's getting shut down in this game. So no.
Yeah, I asked the question because when you look at the wide receivers for Tampa, they're one of those teams that's super predictable. Like when you're up against a team with an elite CB1 and they're going to put him on Evans, it's all good. They just throw it to Godwin a ton, right? So Evans just has bad games. Like his bad games are fairly predictable. It always seems to come against a quality cornerback because they have two guys. But before I get to those wide receivers, Cade Otton, 94% snap count, 20% target share as a tight end. That's as good as you want, as good as you're going to see for a tight end.
Yeah, absolutely. Touchdowns haven't been there for Otton. He had started slow the first couple weeks, but he's becoming more involved, looking more like he did last year, where he's going to get 4, 5, 6 targets a game, and that's respectable at his price tonight. So he's definitely in play as one of the better value options.
Yeah, and the WR trio, again, let's jump. I mean, I like this situation. Again, we know it's Evans, it's Godwin, and now they've got Sterling Shepard sort of stepping into that WR3 role a little bit. You mentioned Cameron Johnson before, so a little bit of him, but it seems like Sterling Shepard has settled into that low volume WR3 role for the Bucs.
Yeah, both McMillan and Palmer are out again. So, Shepard, we saw him get 60% of the snaps last week. He got most of the targets in the WR3 role. He's definitely in play, super cheap on DraftKings. Cameron Johnson is the other guy that I think will mix in primarily with Shepard. He's going to he'll be on the field for a third of the snaps, 30, 40%. And then he's got more explosiveness. He's got some speed. He's got some quickness. So I think Cam Johnson at min price on DraftKings, we'll talk more about it later. I think he's in play as well.
I like it. So a little Cam, a little Sterling is our kind of turds here. Don't really need to go there when it comes to these backup tight ends or any of that. So it's just going to be a question of which running back and, of course, which of Evans or Godwin or both do you prefer? Side note, Godwin has really been spectacular this season. Evans has been up and down. Godwin's super consistent. Godwin is playing. He's in the slot. They said they were going to move him back to the slot. They said they were going to put him back in a high volume role. They're playing him in the Cooper Kupp role in this like Sean McVay style offense that they're running. So more of the same. I think you could always rely on Godwin.
And he's scoring touchdowns too. That's another big difference. So that's a big deal on FanDuel, especially.
Yeah, love that spot. Love that side of it. A lot of potential captains here. A lot of good stuff. A little quick note though, Bobbywow. I want to acknowledge. Ford No Mustang on Monday night for taking it down. We always like to acknowledge the winners. Ford No Mustang got the Monday night special on FanDuel, first place. A little big tie there, but hey,
11K. Hey, that's a good tie on FanDuel. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that for a FanDuel slate, that one's really good. So congrats
Awesome.
to Ford No Mustang for taking that one down. And reminder, at DFS Army, we still have our VIP 50 promo code going to get access to DFS Army VIP for 50% off in the first month. That is $45 for a month of DFS Army VIP. You know, MLB, NHL is launching in a couple days, or like a day or two or three. Bobbywow, we'll have
baseball's here. Yeah,
playoff baseball's here. We have 3 main sports going simultaneous, and in another couple weeks, we'll have the magic moment of 4 prime sports simultaneous. It only happens. It's like a solar eclipse that happens once a year.
It is the best time of the year for sports. It truly is.
It's
truly
nonstop,
is.
bro. It's nonstop. DFS. So you want to check out DFS Army? You get it all VIP. 50% off your first month, promo code VIP50. Please check it out. We'd love to have you in our Discord, strategizing, talking about the games, and all that good stuff. So,
and we had right before the show, we had people talking about the Discord, and that to me is one of the best parts of it all. So sign up for that VIP month, and you will have access to the Discord. And trust me, it is well worth it.
Yeah, and if you are a DFS Army subscriber, again, make sure you're in our Discord. It's really, really important. It's a lot of what we do, especially for NBA or any kind of sport that has breaking news. That is our only way of delivering information at the second. And if you're not in there, you're not getting that. And you're really missing out on something that's worth, that alone is worth the entire subscription. Just Absolutely. The late breaking news and the analysis real quick in real time. Okay, let's take a quick look at captains here. And I'm going to sort the domination station by projected ownership. We're gonna blow it up for you guys a little bit here so you could see it. Actually, no, because I can't see the names. There we go. That's as good as I can do, and still see the names. But we're gonna sort the captain group, and looks like Bijan, Bobbywow. Then Drake, Godwin, Mayfield, Evans in that order, and then a little Kirk Cousins, and then some background guys, White and Ray, and just whoever.
Yeah. That looks about right to me. I think that's kind of what makes sense. Bijan, I'm really high on Bijan tonight. I know it sounds crazy, but I've got some reasons for it. I've got some reasons for it. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm very curious.
Bijan, I think the first thing to know about Bijan is, number one, he's on the field for 80% of the snaps. Atlanta has been very vocal about committing to him as the featured back, and I think we see that play out. Even Algiers getting touches. He's getting 8-9 touches a game, but Bijan is on the field for 80% of the snaps. He's the guy. Now, they have faced, in 3 of the 4 weeks, they've faced 3 of the toughest rushing defenses in the league, with KC, the Saints, and then the Steelers. So I think that's part of where that touchdown equity comes in for Bijan. And also at the same time, you got this, Kirk Cousins, like we talked about earlier. Kirk Cousins ramping back up. A new coach, kind of getting used to the scheme together. We've seen that come together more and more over the last couple of weeks. And I think, between the softer matchup, the offense, hitting its 5th week together, I really, really like, the matchup against the Bucs. It's relatively soft. I think this is a night where Bijan gets it.
It's not a soft matchup. I don't want to let that float. Tampa's they are above average. They got Vita Vea in there. They're above average versus the run.
I don't know about that. I know they got Vita Vea, but right. I think at least relative to the 3 teams that he's faced off, 3 of the 4
it's not the scariest run defense in the league, but they are slightly above. I'm actually looking at the power rankings right now, just to like that number. And yeah, they're slightly so effectively on the season. And I'll just pull out the real. This is the real. This gives you true defensive metrics. They're allowing 16 fewer yards per game on average to opposing running backs, if I'm reading this correctly. So
and they've been hurt by pass catching running backs too. So that's part of what I factor into the equation. And Bijan's a guy that will catch passes. So really high on Bijan. The field is too, but I plan on being double that exposure at captain tonight.
Maybe that defensive tendency actually does favor like Bijan specifically when it comes to versus Algier, who's going to run up the gut right at the heart of that Tampa sort of defensive line. And Bijan is a little more likely to catch a pass and take it, that way.
100%.
Yeah. Bijan's up there. Drake London, sure, why not? We want wide receivers up here. I would kind of probably have it, if this were me, I think I would have London, Godwin, and Evans as my primaries. I like the wide receivers the most.
Yeah, I'd have Bijan, but I'd put Evans and Godwin both above London. I think London's looked much better. This is a much better system for him. Kirk's a much better competent quarterback for him. And again, we've seen them. His targets have been on the rise. But in terms of ceiling and what's been proven to this point, Godwin and Evans clearly have the higher ceilings to me. So at least to this point.
What about these quarterbacks? So these are both extremely pocket presence QBs, although I give Baker Mayfield a little more mobility points. Kirk Cousins hasn't done anything this year that makes you think I want to play him as a captain in a showdown. But I would say that Baker Mayfield has some big games and bigger games than his wide receivers so far.
Yes. Yeah. Kirk is not up there for me. I'm not going to have any shares of Kirky a captain tonight. He just hasn't gotten it done. Like, fantasy-wise, I think he's been effective and he's shown some progress in terms of him getting back up to speed, but I'm not touching him at captain yet. Baker, on the other hand, absolutely. He's outscored everyone else on the slate 2 weeks this season, week 1 and week 4. So, Baker firmly in play at captain. He's priced up with, those top-tier guys, which makes it a little bit tougher. But, again, I think Kirk Cousins is the odd man out here. Not touching him at captain. And, Baker, you talked about his mobility. That's been one of the keys to Baker's fantasy production so far. He's run 2 touchdowns in this season, including one last week. So that makes a huge difference fantasy score wise. And, Baker is right up there as a solid captain option, I think.
I'm really happy for Baker turning his career around, getting out of Cleveland. Cleveland is like just the place where quarterbacks just never succeed. It's just, if you want to be terrible, go to Cleveland.
Yeah, agreed.
They never succeed there. And then they leave and they're good.
Still a tough place to be quarterback. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why. What is going on with them? But Baker looks great. He's looking great for this team. Baker has solidified himself as like an NFL franchise quarterback. This guy is going to be a quarterback 5 years from now, starting on a team somewhere. Like, it is not going away. He's done enough that he will have a job until he ages out or turns into like an Andy Dalton, like gunslinger that goes from team to team. Some other names you mentioned here in the cheat sheet, Bobbywow, Darnell Mooney.
I think he's up there again. Big play guy. It only takes a couple catches for him, a big catch for a touchdown, and he's knocking on the door there at his price. So he's certainly an option in tournaments. Rachaad White, I'm not confident in Rachaad White here, but I do think if you're running 150 lineups out there, I think he should be part of your pool. We haven't seen much from him.
Yeah. It won't be much. A couple points, couple percentage points.
I wouldn't go more than 10%.
Yeah.
But he's an option, and he's going to be catching passes in this game again. Atlanta's not great against pass catching running backs either. And Ray is a dart, simply because of his price. There's a lot of studs up top: Godwin, Evans, Bijan, Drake. If you're trying to fit these guys in, we saw it with Wan'Dale Robinson last week. Very similar story here with Ray, although I don't think he's has quite the upside Wan'Dale has. But again, a dart, and if you're running out 150 lineups, could be worth a couple of shares.
Yeah. We've seen already this season, Bobbywow, that the pay down option captain can be successful if they're not the highest scorer. Even when they're not the highest scorer, I'm pretty sure. There was that giant slate with Greg Joseph or that, the kicker.
Who got Greg Joseph and Wan'Dale, who were both
they were
flip-flopping.
They were flip-flopping around, and we've just seen it time and time again that it does make sense to try to find at least a cheap enough captain that it allows the rest of your lineup to be actually different from other people on the slate. Like, you're able to afford 1 or 2 more of those stud players in the overall lineup.
Yeah.
No one else.
That's it for me. I think it's pretty straightforward here, captain-wise. The decisions really come in the flex.
Well, I like that. So, flex cores. I agree on Godwin. I think Godwin at this point has proven himself to be sort of somebody you want almost every week. I agree with this core play. Yeah, Mike Evans a little less so. He's a little more up and down, but if he's winning, he's breaking the slate. Mike Evans is almost somebody that should be like just the captain.
You can make the case. Yeah, he's more of the tournament option versus Godwin's got that super high floor, which is nice. He's a little bit safer of a play. But Evans, I think has probably the highest ceiling of anybody here. 35 point upside, multiple touchdown upside. We've seen it happen already this season, week 1.
Bobbywow, in back testing, I wrote little notes because we got to relive all of 2023 in back testing. One of my notes, Evans was one of those guys. There was a few players, I don't want to give them all, but there was a few players that I was like, this guy is a tournament winner. You got to play. Like, he doesn't even 2x every week. Like he's up and down. He gets you a 6 or he gets you a 30. He's the perfect player to win you a tournament. And because of that, I said it last week, his ownership always goes down because his bad weeks are like a 6 or a 4. He doesn't usually have just, the normal weeks. It's either terrible or he wins you the tournament 30 plus points.
Yeah.
And there were a few players like that. Rashid Shaheed was on that list too. I was like, I wrote a note like, this guy will win you the tournament like 4 times over the course of a season, but the other times it's going to be bad. Just names like that.
Yeah. He's one of them for sure. But again, I think he's a guy that you look at the ownership on him at captain, him not being significant, him not being even double digits. That's a clear spot where I want to get some leverage. And definitely I like the idea of kind of weighting your shares in the captain slot too. I think that's a good call.
Yeah. Moving on. All right. So obviously we love Godwin, and Bijan is controversial. You have him as a core. I think you can probably, he's so cheap. It's tough, but he's just not proven to me that he's going to outscore like Baker Mayfield most of the time. He's a 16-point running back, and there's that's a dangerous. He's probably going to get you the 16. Like he's really solid there, but he needs to have that spike game. It's been 4 weeks.
That's core. That's in the flex. I think number 1. Number 2, if Baker outscores Bijan tonight, I'll wear a turd hat on the next.
No, that's not turd hat worthy.
Because that's how confident I think Bijan's going to score well.
Okay, I love it. I love the confidence. I love it.
Look, that is how I'm playing it at least tonight. That's how I do my sheet. Is exactly how I plan on attacking the slate.
Yeah.
I totally agree, though. You're right about Bijan. He hasn't proven a ton yet.
I want it to be true. I have a lot of exposure. I have a lot of Bijan exposure. It's just been like disappointing. And then you watch each game, and I go in with the same hope, the hopeful gleam in my eye, and I'm like, it's Bijan. And he looks so good every time he has a carry. And you're like, and then he's on the bench, and it's Algier, and he looks good. And you're like, oh no, why does he look so good?
Yeah.
Why does Algier always look good?
Yeah, I think there's reason for optimism for Bijan, though, and I think that starts tonight. So
definitely. All right, Kirk Cousins, the other side of it, I think, solid yeoman-like expectations here for Kirk Cousins. Fine by me.
Yeah, I wrote in the notes. He looks exactly like a 36-year-old QB ramping back up from an Achilles injury. He's been working through some kinks. He's been, regaining his footing a little bit. But, he's shown some progress with mobility. He's moving around a little bit more compared to week 1. We've seen a little more zip on the ball, a little more accuracy, over the last couple of weeks. Just in terms of fantasy production, just isn't getting there yet. And I think Bijan and Algier are the primary guys near the end zone as it is. So if Kirk's not getting those touchdowns, he's not getting there.
No, he's definitely not running one in. And let's cut Kirk even a little more slack. He's on a new team, and he's a veteran QB, and it takes a minute. Like even Tom Brady took 10 weeks to get comfortable with the wide receivers on Tampa when he moved over there. It took a while for that to start clicking. Let's see.
Mooney. Here. Mooney was up there. The issue for me with Mooney is he's probably a little bit too expensive relative to where his salary should be here. That's why I don't love him more. I think he's a great tournament play, no doubt about it. But 7,200 isn't necessarily cheap for him. So I like his price on FanDuel a lot better, but it doesn't have the touchdown upside. I don't know. 7,200 is an odd price to me. It's an awkward price.
It's incorrectly priced. And a lot of this is a bad price for Mooney because Mooney's not getting more targets than anyone else. It's not a good price point. This is showing a very low Oh, 0. Oh, we don't have ownerships in here. So there we go. I can't even look
They're
at
in
it
the
that way.
DS. They're in the DS.
I would go to the optimizer. Yeah, the Dom station, but it's not here. So, but yeah, Darnell, 7,200 seems pricey. Obviously, it's a fine play, but pricey. Rashad White and Bucky Irving, effectively the same. I don't think you can play these two in the same lineup. Somebody asked if you could.
I said the same thing. I put that in the notes. I would not play both. I would rule out both in the same lineup 100%.
Yeah. Do we play them both? Nope.
But that's kind of why I put Rashad White as considerable a captain, because he's really, really inexpensive. Now, he should be inexpensive because of, what his production's been, but that price for a guy that's probably going to end up with 13, 14, 15 touches, it's too cheap on DraftKings, especially when you account for the receptions that he's going to get.
White has lacked touchdown upside for the better part of the last his whole career. For some reason, he does not get in the end zone. I get why Tampa brought in Bucky, and if I'm Tampa, I kind of do want to play Bucky at the goal line, because Rashad White has not been good at that. That is not something he's good at, or their offensive line is good. I can't tell. I never understand why, but he's just not that good at it, or hasn't been for the better part of all of last year and this year. He's been this volume-based running back, and now if the volume goes down, I think that upside for him is very, very limited.
Yep, I fully agree. I just the price is reflective of that, so I'm willing to take some shots.
Kyle Pitts, just a disappointing player. Could get it done, but I think the disappointment for me with Pitts is just like, he's not a special tight end. He's Cade Otton.
Yeah, I even maybe worse production wise. Like, look, he's one of the worst separation rates of any pass catcher in the league, and that shows. This is a showdown, so let's not forget, anything can happen. Kyle Pitts could have a good game, and he's really, really cheap. Okay, so let's first and foremost, there's that. But at the same time, he hasn't caught more than 3 passes in a game yet this season. He hasn't caught more than 4 passes in a game, going back all the way to last year, week 5. So a year ago, basically. This is not a guy that's shown us much. He isn't scoring touchdowns. Hasn't been prolific touchdown scorer either. I think he has 1 this season. Just all signs point to him being just maybe bad in the NFL. So he's cheap enough to where you can absolutely play him. It's a showdown. Anything can happen, but I'm not excited to play him. I won't have many shares.
By the way, if Pitts was just like any tight end, I would never even mention this. It would never be spoken of. But reputationally, they price him higher than he should be priced because of the name. And here in the messaging, Cam I am is saying Otton has been better than Pitts, right? So where's Cade Otton? 4K, right? Why is he cheaper than Pitts? And it's just reputational. Again, not to say Pitts can't have a good game. He scored a touchdown in week 1. Fine. Anything can happen on any given week. But I've been saying this, I feel like, for the last couple seasons, that Pitts is just priced based on his name brand, not based on any kind of production that we've ever seen out of him. So that, do with that what you will. I'm not saying you can't ever play him. I'm just saying he's priced weirdly. Let's talk. Both kickers are really good. Love Young-Hoo Koo. Young-Hoo Koo is like a guy that you're targeting as a kicker. He's a destination kicker.
I love both. Yeah, I like Young-Hoo slightly more, just because I could see Atlanta drive stalling out, before they score. So he had 4 field goal attempts last week. He's kicking a bunch of field goals while this offense works out the kinks. Love him. Both guys, though, big legs. Both guys are 3 for 3 from 50 plus. Both guys firmly in play here on all formats on both sides.
Gotta love that the kickers are priced up again. 5K, 5,400. DraftKings making it more difficult.
Yeah,
than it had been.
Still solid plays nonetheless.
Yeah, but that priced up is interesting. So in the sub kicker price point, and this is an important price point, we start with Tyler Algier, 4,800.
Algier, here's the reality with Algier. He's getting 8 to 10 touches a game. He has, in all 4 games this season, he's at 8 to 10 touches. That at 4,800 is intriguing in itself. I don't, he hasn't been, producing a ton with those touches, but anytime a guy's getting 10 touches, he's below 5K in salary, he's worth a look. And so, it's kind of the story on Algier. John's the guy. And, now if Bijan gets re-injured, which is possible, obviously Algier would take on that volume, But as far as things go now, he's going to get 10 touches, and that's a healthy amount.
So my follow-up is, can we fully avoid him in a lineup with Bijan?
I do think we can. I don't know that I'll set a rule, just because, on the Tampa side, Baker's been accounting for a lot of the touchdowns. On the Falcons side, it's been all running backs. So there's always that chance both get in the end zone. But I do think, Bijan has to score here if he's going to hit value. So I'm not going to have them in the same lineup either.
I think you can avoid the combo. Obviously, the combo will be low owned. And if I'm looking for like the lowest owned stuff, can do that, negative correlation. But I think the move here is avoid it, because something you said before holds true. Listen, what if Bijan does get hurt? Well, if they're together, you're not getting the advantage of having Algier in a lineup. So Bijan with a Q tag, all of that stuff, it makes sense to just separate.
No Q tag anymore, though. He had no injury designation, but yes, he had one of the week with it.
But it's coming off something. You know what? You know who didn't have an injury designation week 1? Jaylen Warren. And then after the game, they're like, the hammy, we didn't want to put him in. Like when they're coming off I don't trust it. So
McCaffrey came in week 1 questionable on game day for goodness sakes.
That one too, right? He was supposed to play. So, and now his career is finished, probably, maybe, who knows? Cade Otton. Everybody loves Cade Otton. 4K, 20% of the target volume, 19% on the season. He's been great.
Solid, not sexy. Look, he's getting consistent targets the last couple of weeks. He's on the field every snap. Really the only tight end catching passes. The Bucs rarely run 2 tight end sets, which benefits Otton quite a bit, obviously. Yeah. And, look, he's absolutely viable to score a touchdown. I think he's plus 310 or plus 320, which, semi-decent odds for a guy that's as cheap as he is on DraftKings. Absolutely worth some shots. Probably the most reliable source of value, honestly.
I mean, it's between him and Ray, right? I don't know that I'm like, those are 2 value spots. Ray's the other one, of course.
Yep. Ray been getting, you mentioned it when we were looking at the matchup sheet. He's right there. The target share has been relatively equally spread for the first 4 weeks through all 3 of those wide receivers, Mooney, London, and Ray. He's running those short routes, got the PPR upside at 3,400. It's not going to take much. Like Ray doesn't have to score necessarily to be in the optimal. So yeah, Ray again, him and Otton, both really solid value pieces here.
Getting all the targets, or getting as many targets as anybody on that team, even if they're not the highest value targets. Last 2 spots I really think we need to even cover. And we talked about these guys, Sterling Shepard and Cameron Johnson. Sterling Shepard, probably the primary fill-in for McMillan/Palmer with Cam Johnson, sort of the secondary. Now, the difference here, they're both cheap, 1,600 versus 200. Cam Johnson at 200, Bobbywow. We've seen it. 2 receptions is all it takes.
Yeah, and I think Sterling Shepard, like you said, I think it's going to be like a, maybe like a 65-35 split, 70-30, something in that range. Sterling's not going to play every snap as a WR3. He's old. He's still kind of getting acquainted with the offense. They just signed him to the active roster officially. But Cam Johnson, I did a little digging into Cam Johnson because he's got an interesting story. Undrafted, he's a rookie out of a D2 school. So a D2 athlete, kind of came in with no expectations. Not a lot of D2 athletes, end up succeeding in the NFL. But the more he played, the more he was practicing and the more he went through the preseason, he started getting a lot of attention. Even guys like, Baker Mayfield was very, very specific in calling him out about, being explosive, having good hands. Chase Edmonds, for whatever it's worth, he ended up tweeting that he reminds him of Randall Cobb, and he thinks he's going to make the roster. And so, Cameron Johnson eventually makes the roster. Fun story, number one, but he is a very different player than Sterling Shepard. He's a guy that is really explosive in space, very quick. His vertical was far better than that. Both his vertical and his 40 time were above average for wide receivers his size in the NFL. And he's just got that different element. So I do think we see him mix in a little bit here. And, I would not be surprised to see if they try to get him the ball a couple times. Like you said, it's $200. It might only take 1 or 2 catches. And, it just feels like a game where he could play a legitimate role just because he does offer something different than Sterling does.
Hard to go wrong. Listen, you're talking 15% potential exposure. He's projecting for like 2 to 3%, basically supreme turd exposure. So it's really, really easy to get leverage on a spot like this.
Yes.
Just, put him in a few lineups, and hey, if he pops off, remember the tight end in the last showdown on Monday, Durant, was it?
Yeah,
like the TE3,
but yes,
yeah. So and similar stuff where after the game you hear like, oh, the teammates all like him, they think he's got potential long term, this rookie. So yeah, let's go. The turd whisperer is right.
he's my turd. He's the turd I'm targeting for sure.
Okay.
Cameron Johnson is.
You know what? There we go. I love it. Turds.
Do you feel like I feel like Sterling's going to come in higher than what he projected now? It looks like 7% ownership.
Yeah, I think Sterling will get some ownership just because that's your affordability spot. He got targets already, and it's like, hey, how do I afford all this stuff? Let's build one. Oh wait, This is the wrong contest. So what we always like to see and get a feel for when you're building a lineup, kind of what situations come up.
And while you're pulling that up, just quickly answer a question in the chat. Would you run Cam in single entry? I would not. I think he's more of an MME exposure type of player.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Although if you did it on single entry, you might be the only person in that contest. So it gives you a better shot of winning it if that lean is correct. So starting up here, one of the real interesting things about this specific slate is how close in price all these potential captain plays are.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the safest might be Godwin, but again, the rare occasion when I don't mind even a Baker Mayfield risk.
Absolutely. Yeah, Godwin to me is the safe route.
Yeah, so let's start with Godwin. They're all about the same price anyway. So you're only going to be able to get a few of these. Mayfield, Bijan, we're down to 5K.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be hard to pull the trigger on Mooney very often with him so close with these more solid plays. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But where are you going next here? We putting kickers in?
I mean, let's just for kicks. Let's say you put in the 2 value options. You got Otten and Ray. All
right, so we'll pick one of them.
Just for example, yeah.
Let's see
here. Put both
Otten
in there just to see what you have. Yeah, pick one for now. We can go from there.
Otten makes more sense in a no Evans lineup, right? So we're putting Otten in here with Godwin and Mayfield. Now you got Bijan and 5,800 remaining. We can click 2 more buttons here. So if you want, what did I do? Oops. Source code revealed.
Yep.
Did you see that? Can you even see my screen? I'm just kidding. That's not what actually happened, but I thought it was funny. All right. So 5,800 left. If we want to get to another stud, and this is where you kind of want to be, you want to get one more stud in there.
So now,
what's that?
Now you're down to Sterling Shepard.
Yes. You're stuck there. There's no other way to go.
Yep.
So below London, Cousins, same deal. So really, I don't like this version with Mooney and then paying up.
You could get to Ray here, which is a little better.
If I did Ray again, I'm just on Mooney again. No Cousins in that version, but I can get Mooney or White. Mooney's on Atlanta, White's on Tampa. Look at this. So this would be like a Darnell Mooney situation. But the other way to go is just like if I'm trying to be safe about this one, I'm double tight ending it right there at the end.
Double kicker.
Yeah, I'm double kicking. I think this is a good slate for double kicker, especially if in like a cashy type lineup like what we just put on screen. So the other way to have gone would have been to get rid of Otten, to go all the way down to, let's say, a Sterling or even further, and then from here you can actually go Ray and then another stud or something like that. I can even get to London here and then a kicker, which I kind of like as well. So I really like something like this. Really works. Actually, this is the one I'm going to stick with. This one as my preferred.
I like it.
A little more upside.
Yep.
A little more upside in there. Using it. Let's see how it goes. All right. Quick discussion of FanDuel. Let's get the single game slate loaded up here. Bobbywow, potential MVPs on FanDuel. We're not going to go too crazy with this one, but let's see. FanDuel Showdown. We have sheets for FanDuel too. Baker Mayfield, top dog.
Yeah, a little hard to see on the screen here, the names, but to me, it's Baker, number one. I think, and Bijan right behind him. I think those are your two top dogs. And then from there, you got Kirk Cousins. Quarterbacks are king. I think he's actually more of a GPP play, honestly, just because he hasn't had a floor yet this season. So, he's, I think, the third most likely to get there on FanDuel, but again, not super confident in him. And then, you got more of some dart throws with Godwin could get there. Mike Evans could get there. And even Rashad White. But, those three guys are more of long shots, I think, compared with the other three.
Is there any validity to a kicker?
No.
Or no kicker? What about like a running back that...
Let me ask you this. Are you playing a kicker on DraftKings?
No.
And the captain? No. So I
don't see the need. The way it came together just before, I don't really see too much of a need of it. Again, though, these are two premier kickers. I really like both of these kickers as like able to get 10 points.
Yeah, and if you're playing FanDuel, just keep in mind that would mean the kicker would have to outscore everybody else on the slate. He would have to outscore Baker. He would have to outscore Godwin. All these guys. And
yeah, because of the salary availability.
The salary doesn't change on FanDuel. I just don't see that happening.
This is not this game doesn't kind of come off to me as like some defensive battle of the century. I think both these teams are going to be putting up points.
Yeah, Baker and Robinson to me are easily the top two dogs, and then Kirk Cousins, Mike Evans, Rashad White, and if you want to throw a dart at Chris Godwin, you could. But I think it's pretty straightforward here.
Let's look at some affordability factors here on FanDuel. So if we go kind of again, love the kickers, would just play a lot of them. And their kickers are even more valuable on FanDuel, the way that they score. In the affordability zone,
Baker's not cheap.
Darnell, 8K Otten.
Yeah, Baker and Evans are not cheap, so you will have to find some value here. I think Cade Otten, to me, is the best value on FanDuel because he does have probably the best touchdown upside of any of these guys down here. I think, he's far more likely to score than, Ray McLeod or Sterling Shepard. So to me, Otten's the top dog at 8K. That's pretty dang cheap. Mooney at 8K is interesting.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a ton of touchdown upside either, but, big playability, a couple big catches, and he's there at 8K. So he's certainly in play as well.
If he's getting a touchdown, it's off a monster play, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'd probably only need 10 or 12 points, which Mooney has gotten without touchdowns, at 8K. So he's certainly viable there too. I think him and Otten are my two go-to value options on FanDuel.
Mental note for everybody who plays on FanDuel. You just thought about it so correctly. You always want to look at where the kickers are, and you assume that the kicker, it's like the kicker for me is like a dealer in blackjack when they're showing like an 8. Like, all right, he's got an 18. Okay, we know what he's got. It's probably an 18. So let's try to beat it. With the kicker, figure he's got like a 10 in him. Yep. And then when you look below his price bar anywhere, it's like below, can these guys score 10 or more? They can surpass the kicker. If you're getting a 6,
look at it. Yep.
Yeah, just always look at the kicker and expect, what is a kicker going to score? I don't know, 9 to 12. And then everybody below, if they're not really capable, especially on FanDuel, of scoring like 10, 11, 12, like a Ray will have a hard time scoring 12 fantasy points on FanDuel. He's playing in the middle of the field. He's just not a touchdown scorer more often than this. That doesn't mean he can't score one. They do, but more often than not, that's not the guy they're looking for. So can he score 12? They can do it on DraftKings much easier than FanDuel.
Exactly.
So it's a longer, harder path for him to get there on FanDuel. All right. So we'll take a quick look at FanDuel, slap a lineup together here. Again, I would just start with Baker.
Start with Baker or Bijan. This.
Maybe go Godwin. Same approach. That takes you to 8,500. So already we're in 8K zone. And here it's...
Go Otten.
You know what? You can't get to the kickers. I don't like it. All right. Huh. Mooney. So is anybody below Mooney really?
Ray is. Ray gets you the kickers.
Yeah, barely. I don't like it though, Bobby. I don't like it. So how do I change this? Let me see.
You probably got to take out. You're probably taking out Bijan, right?
I don't really want to take out
I hate
a running back. I almost think the other way to go is just play the other running back and then just play the 2 kickers. This would be a classic cash game build. The only difference here between, you know what, to turn it into the ultimate, just, you know what, we'll show what a classic cash game build looks like. And it pretty much looks like this. Quarterback, running back, defense. I like Bijan.
To me, I'm probably upgrading to Godwin. No, you can't. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Godwin. No, it doesn't work. So yeah, you can't do.
You almost need you need a pass catcher in there with Baker, I think.
Yeah. I like the first one better, but we couldn't get the 2 kicker. We couldn't get the 2 kickers in there.
Maybe London in there instead of Bijan. I suppose you could make that argument.
I mean, it's really this, right? It's the quarterback, Bijan, Rachaad White, and the other 2. But Rachaad White is
that's a cash lineup.
Yeah, it's pretty cashy. I'm not saying to use that. It's kind of a cashy pro. I don't play cash games on FanDuel showdowns anyway.
See, that's the interesting decision on FanDuel is, the Baker decision. He's so expensive that you could have a guy maybe score a little bit less than him, but still end up being the MVP, depending on how it shakes out, with the flex options. Yeah. Right. Like if, Bijan maybe puts up 20, Baker puts up 24, but you were able to get up to, a kicker instead of Ray McLeod. That's kind of like the decision you're making on FanDuel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely tricky, but that's why we prefer playing these. Listen, there's great contests on FanDuel for the main slate. We'll focus on those.
There's more overlay. Oh man, I think quarters back.
There's literal free money contests on FanDuel.
The quarter's back this week.
The quarter game is back. Reserve it now. So if you look
back
at FanDuel, I keep saying it, guys. You've said it a million times, Geek. Yeah, because it's free money. I maxed it out, so you're not even going to see it on my screen anymore. But I reserve them. But the ones that say guaranteed 50% paid or guaranteed overlay, which if I go into my upcoming, you'll see. Because I already reserved them. I even did the quarter game because I'm just going to put it in both. Same one. Because it's just stupid not to. But like, where is this? How do I show it? These contests are giving out so much free money. Yeah, this is the Hail Mary. So this is the quarter one. Again, they've collected $125,000 worth of entry fees, and they're paying out $150,000. People don't understand. Like, oh, they added 25, no big deal. No, they also didn't take a vig on the 15% that they normally do. So normally they would remove 20,000. Instead, they're adding 25. And there's a $3 contest where they're adding $100,000 to it on the $3 contest of free money and not removing 20. It's crazy. You got to be
top 60% paid is unreal.
Yeah, really easy
that's unbelievable.
Anyway, focus on those on FanDuel. Play showdowns on DraftKings
with the extra cash. One final thought on FanDuel is, this is one of the weeks where you could, the turds are more in play, like a Sterling Shepard at 7 or Cam Johnson at 6K. They could score a couple of points and be in the optimal here because they allow you to do so much more with Baker. So final thought on FanDuel.
Yeah, I love the Cameron Johnson call that you made there, because this is not a slate where you have to have 100 different turds. If you actually bake it down and boil it down to what's going on, there's only really a couple of turds to choose from, 3 or 4, and that's easy. We want to be above the field on all of those people. Now, one more thought I want to just have here. Somebody asked if we do props, and Ryan Davis asked, do we do props? Anyone do well on props? So I just want to quickly mention the player props team at DFS Army. If you're VIP, you have access to this in our Discord. They're giving these plays constantly, but we've been tracking since September of 2023. These guys are up 25,000 on about $200,000 worth of entries. But understand, most entries are 10, 20, 30 bucks. They're nonstop action in the DFS Army Discord. Sniper and Will Lynn. For the NFL season, for the last 5 days, they're up 500. Last 30 days, they're up $1,000. Start of the NFL season, looks like 14,000 in entries, 15,000 in winnings. Everything tracked. every single bet. And they're 20, 10, 5. These are prize picks, sleeper, underdog, and sportsbook plays constantly dropping in our Discord. So if you're already subscribed to DFS Army, you have access to this. It's in the Discord under player props. Go check it out. People say, hey, how do I be profitable? This sub standalone is $35 a month, Bobbywow.
And I kid you not, this is not a homer thing or I build my bankroll using Sharp because I'm a more risky DFS player. So Sharp has been the way where I can kind of sustain my bankroll. And that's no homerism
Sharp
whatsoever.
App as well. Yeah,
for real. The player props, this has kind of originated from there. Either way, it has been incredible for me and my bankroll for DFS. So yeah, I wanted to give my 2 cents.
I'll compare that. So basically, in DFS Army, you have Will Lynn and Sniper giving out picks, and we track all of that right here on screen. And everybody who's VIP has access. If you're NFL, you just get this sub. You get this subscription for the props sub, and like I said, they're killing it. And the picks are dropping nonstop. It's just a lot of action across Prize Pick, Sleeper, and those sites. What they're using are materials from Sharp App, which is Sharp is much more. If you want to originate your own plays, you're gonna get the Sharp App, Sharp 2.0. We'll be talking about that over the next couple of weeks here as we're launching a massively upgraded version of Sharp App that is going to blow minds and make your head explode. It's going to make your fucking heads explode when you see what we have going on there. 70 sports books, all the Sharp books, exchanges, everything all in one place. Amazing quantities of information. We're going to be tracking Steam moves. It's going to blow your mind.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
One more thing to add about this player prop piece is that these guys are in Discord posting lines before they're moving. Like they are on things, and you want to be in the Discord when those props go up. So it's a big deal, and it's been really helpful for me.
Got to be in the Discord because, like I said, Will Lynn is dropping plays for the second half of a game, for like the third quarter. It is a non-stop festival in the props channel in DFS Army's Discord. So go check that out as well. I mean, do the promo code VIP50. It gets you full VIP. You get access to the props as well. For now, at some point we got to separate those two, but for now, it's still included with VIP. So with that being said, guys, good luck on the showdown tonight. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Bobbywow will be back with me on Friday for tournament tactics. We're going to break down the whole Sunday slate. We're going to break it down, come with more crazy plays. Maybe some turd hat bets will happen.
Maybe.
Could be. Burns and Josiah as well. And of course, if you're a DFS Army subscriber, Bobbywow crushed it last week. The Jaden Reed call with your VIP only FanDuel podcast and sheet that is happening exclusively behind the paywall in our DFS Army Discord. And I loved it. I read it. I crushed. I helped my FanDuel entries this week. Did well. Another profitable week. Didn't win it, but we had a different subscriber place 2 entries in the top 10 of that $3 contest. And DFS Army helmets all over the quarter game, everywhere.
Yeah.
First place, third place, 8th place. It was all over the place. So we're going to keep that going. How do you get to Discord? Start by signing up at DFS Army over on DFSarmy.com. And then in your account, it shows you how to connect to the Discord under settings. So you just want to do that, and you'll get into, I don't actually even know where it is, but
connections,
it's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Yeah, the Discord button. Yeah, it's the Discord button right there. And you have to be subscribed to DFS Army to see our premium Discord. That is where you want to be. So, don't look at my stuff here. My personal info.
That's good.
Now that you know my actual last name is Football Geek. People thought it was my Twitter moniker. All right. That's going to do it for this one. We will see you guys at the top of the leaderboards. Crushing it. Helmets up, everybody. Good luck tonight. We'll see you next time.